Okay, well, thanks everybody for coming out and welcome to We Talk Art. And so it's my pleasure to be interviewing and visiting with Craig Lemley, the owner of Dakota Art Pastels in Mount Vernon, Washington. So Craig, welcome to the chat, and I'm just excited to hear about you. And as a kid, how did art play a role in your life as a kid, and how did that progress through your school years?
Well, first, Bonnie, thanks for the invite to be here. I've been looking forward to this for a while. So,
I'm glad.
how did I start in this? There was no art in my youth. I grew up in a very rural community in North Dakota, and there was no art in the schools, no art pretty much anywhere. And I didn't really take my first class until, well, I left North Dakota and joined the Navy and got stationed out here on Whidbey Island, and where I live right now in Washington. And I started taking junior college classes, and I took a watercolor class from a guy named Tony Turpin, who's actually coming over to my house this afternoon. But besides that, that got me started in art. I took some pottery classes there and drawing classes. And when I got out of the Navy, I had the GI Bill to use, and I decided to use it to get an art degree. I went through a school in North Dakota, school in Minnesota, one in Canada, ended up in Bellingham and got a degree in printmaking. So that was my art training. With that degree, I went out into the world and moved to Seattle and got a job at an art materials place most of you are probably familiar with, called Daniel Smith. It's a specialized in printmaking, especially at that time, and through a connection with my printmaking instructor with Daniel Smith, I got employed there. And, 10 years later, I left when the company had grown from 10 to 110 people. And at Daniel Smith, we really invented art, mail order art materials. And that's where I was exposed to business. So I learned my business skills, and all the art connections, art supplier connections in the world was from my years at Daniel Smith. After that came to an end, I looked around for something to do, and it really turned out all I knew how to do was run an art materials place. So I started Dakota Art Stores in 1990 in Seattle, and within 4 years I'd opened 4 stores. My idea was to open small, more neighborhood art material stores, and these weren't pastel oriented by any means. They were full line art material stores, and they were going along fine, nice small stores, 3 in Seattle, and I opened up 1 in Bellingham. And then and I was running the one up in Bellingham myself, I'd always wanted to get back into mail order. So I looked around at the mail order world of art materials, and for various reasons, I ended up focusing on pastels. We had them at Daniel Smith, but didn't really concentrate on them. They were a bit of a difficult product. So that appealed to me, that they weren't dealt with that much. There were quite a few pastel makers that weren't representative in art stores or even the retail stores that were just starting or very small. A lot of the pastel makers, and it's true still to this day, a lot of them are very small companies. small meaning 2 people that make a line. Our Blue Earth line is 2 people. Great American is 2 people. Terry Ludwig's a little bit bigger than that. But Mount Vision, I think he might have 2 people. So, in deciding to go into pastels, my idea for it was to have all the pastels available in the world. Fortunately, there was somewhat of a cap on that. There weren't a lot of them. So I just started out in, I should know the year, but it was somewhere between 1997 and 98. We sent out our first catalog, which I think was 4 copied pages stapled together, and off we went. You can ask me another question now.
Oh, Craig, I'm always.
I got you up to 1998 so far.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to regress a little bit. Where did you grow up in North Dakota? What town?
I grew up in a town called Hope, North Dakota, which is one of the few towns in North Dakota that is actually still there. It had 300 people in the town.
Yeah. So I grew up in north central Montana. My town. I grew up on a ranch, but the town that our mailing address was like 175, and it used to have a speed limit through the town, but now it's 80 miles an hour or whatever, the 70 miles an hour. You go right through. I don't even think there's 100 people that live there anymore.
Yeah,
so anyway,
it's a great place to be from, and
yeah,
and that's really why my business is called Dakota Pastels, is the place name from where I was from, and yeah. It's a good word. It's easy to say and people remember it. So
yep, I always wondered
it
about
was
that.
way better than Craig's art store. So
yeah, good. Yeah, I remember you had stores around the Seattle area, and those were great stores. And then of course, when you go up to Mount Vernon where your store is now, it's like heaven on earth for a pastelist. And I remember, and maybe it's still there, when you walk into a relatively small reception checkout area, you kind of wonder, wow, where's the pastels? And then you walk back into the warehouse when you're invited to go to the warehouse. And it's like, wow, this is incredible. Because I don't know how many lines do you represent of pastels?
Well, I should have a firmer number, but I think it's 18. It's down a couple in the other ones that have gone away, but around 18, and not quite that many lines of paper. Half or eight pencil lines. And yes, the coming to our warehouse in the Skagit Valley in Mount Vernon, where it's located, is the tulip capital of the world. So it's a spectacular place to come in the spring, especially, but it's it's our own little corner of heaven up here. It's the nicest place in the country.
It's beautiful up there.
Biased, of course. Usually we like where we live. So
I think you're not biased. It's true. It's an absolutely beautiful place, and you can walk outside your shop and start painting.
Yes, there are a lot of places like that, but it is nice. So, but yes, walking into our warehouse building, we have actually a small regular art material store as the entrance to the building, and you can tell it's somebody's first time, a pastelist's first time there, as they're kind of looking around, and finally we'll pop the question, well, where's the pastels?
Yeah.
So then, yes, we're leading into another massive, not massive, it's massive for pastels, a big warehouse just full of pastels. And we allow, people can come into the pastel warehouse and do their shopping.
Yeah, that's great.
Unique for most kind of businesses.
Yes. And I think what I've always found really helpful is that the staff there, they know product, and they because I think most of them are artists, right? That
Yeah, most of them are, but not necessarily but they all at least dabble in it. But the nice thing, Bonnie, is that I've been fortunate to have people stick around despite my administrative qualities for a long time, and that really makes a difference. Most people out there that are listening now have probably talked to April, who is my main person and the customer service person, and she's lovely. She understands things well, and she is the most chuckly person that I know. So.
I know there's been a couple times that I've called and said, I got this green. I don't remember quite who the manufacturer is, but it's like the darkest green ever, you know. And it's like they can typically help me out, when I've had silly questions like that.
April could probably tell you right on the phone which one compares to, but for sure she could take it out and match it up.
I'm sure it was her that I talked to, but anyway, one of the things that I was going to mention is when you walk into the little area, the checkout area, and there's this big, beautiful, I think it's a pastel of a zebra.
Ah, yes. Well, thank you.
And that's yours. That's yours, right?
Yeah, it's as I tell people that come in, I've always liked dry materials that I work in. After printmaking, I switched over, so that's why I got into pastels. But I generally use two colors, being black and white. So I work large scale black and white in charcoal. And
yeah, well, this is a big piece. I don't know how big it is, but it's like, I mean,
40 by 60.
Yeah, well, it's a nice piece, and it's
black and white needs to be large.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So Craig, you also have the school that's affiliated with, that's part of your business, right?
Yes, we have a workshop portion to our business, which has been going for not quite. I think in 2000 was the first workshops that we had. There was a business called LeConner Art Workshops, which is LeConner's right next to Mount Vernon, and she was ready to get out of the business, so we kind of took that over and moved it over to our building. We have a huge building that for the pastel warehouse only takes about a third of it, so we had a lot of space that now some of it is used for we make boards is one of our big product lines, mounting paper on boards, and then we have really an excellent workshop space that is very large and can easily accommodates 20 plus people with her own tables and easels and chairs. So it's nice, and that generally runs from, we start in April through October, and since kind of restarting it, after COVID, we cut back on it a little bit. So we do about 2 workshops a month now.
So Craig, who are some of your, if you off the top of your head, your list of instructors for 24?
Bonnie, just so I didn't have to do it off the top of my head, I wrote out a little.
Oh, good for you.
Teresa Saya, being a local artist and one of our good friend of mine, and one just a wonderful workshop instructor. Steve Hill, Diana Sanford, Tony Elaine, one of our favorites. He manages to make his way over from England, or Scotland, I should say, every year, and he's doing 2 again this year. Casey Klon, Rita Kirkman, Lorianne Signori, Amanda Houston, Dawn Emerson, and Michelle Bala are the lineup for this year. And there may be one new Australian person that contacted us that was going to be at IAPS and inquired about doing a workshop at Dakota as well. So,
Yeah, Virginia Bittler just made a comment. She said she's attended several classes and they've all been great, quality teachers, and nice to get to learn and paint with them. So
well, there's something really nice about when you take your break, you can walk into a pastel warehouse and trick out your palette. And well, a really nice thing is if an instructor is using a particular thing you haven't used before, and you have the opportunity to immediately go in and get that, so that you can experience what the instructor is talking about. Instructors love it, believe me.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, because it makes their workshop successful.
Yes, and
if you've got the right tools.
Right, and it's our staff is only 6 people, so running the workshops is a little extra, but the way we look at it, it's nice to have the different energy in the building for 12 different workshops a year or something, just to freshens our approach to business and life, etc. So.
Yeah. So Becky Hawkins said, yes, she'd love to go to a workshop and has tried to get it into Tony Elaine's, but they sell out so quickly. So,
well, you do have to be, especially for him. But last time here, he ended up doing 3 workshops because he'd had to cancel his first time that he was scheduled because of COVID. So then he came back and we just booked in 3 and we filled 3. So he's just a lovely person to take a workshop from.
Yeah, that's great.
That's one. It's worth taking the workshop just to hear him talk. So.
Yep. Yeah. So now you do one of the things that is great with your company, I think, is that you can mount the papers on boards for people, and so are you doing that with all different papers, or is it just the sanded papers, or?
We have mounted and we can mount other papers. Obviously, what we specialize in is the sanded papers, so that's mostly what we do. But we've actually had an artist in England that wanted some of the BFK gray mounted, so we did some large mountings of that for him. But generally, it's the different types of sanded pastels papers that we mount. It's a big part of our business. The Dakota boards are a special product and sets us apart from other businesses.
And you also don't you build some facades and?
Yes, actually, our 2 best-selling products are the Dakota travel boxes, the large and the small, which we've been making for probably 15 years now, and they've still the best-selling product and this includes all sets and anything else. It's we get them made in Italy by the Mabef company, who is mostly known for their easels, but they agreed to make these boxes for us, and it's just been a great product. They haven't changed the design since day one, and they continue to sell well. And it's just a great product. Holds a lot of pastels, not too expensive, and
I think I have one of those. I think I bought it probably in the early 2000s, maybe. It doesn't have Dakota on it, but I got it at your shop.
Okay.
And it's a great box. I mean, it's a travel box, and you can mount it on an easel with real ease, and it's just a good box.
Yeah, our travel boxes are made to actually work on an easel from Mabef that has arms on it where it sets on, as opposed to a tripod. We do make another Bouchard box that has a tripod mount on it, which is made for tripods. I'm not a real tripod fan myself, so.
Yeah, I think I've got the well, I may have worn it out. The easel that has the arms on it, and that really it really is a handy.
Well, if you've been using it hard for 20 years, we obviously make them too good to.
Yeah, yeah. It's time for a new one.
We need to have something that wears out a little faster.
A little quicker. So Craig, I don't know, of other pastel companies around the country, but you've got to be one of the biggest, if you're not the largest.
Well, our competitors are obviously the big art material companies like Dick Blick and Jerry.
Oh, yeah.
There isn't really anybody that silly enough just to specialize just in pastels. It's so the rest of
Well, good for you for doing it.
we have to compete with the big boys, and it's quite frankly, it's nice to have a specialized little niche business that's it's big enough to keep beans on the table for me, and interesting enough that it keeps going. It's a fun business. It's nice to be specialized, and that helps our employees become very familiar with the product, because they're just dealing with pastels, and quite frankly, pastels are pretty darn simple in how they're manufactured. You just have to learn a lot of big color lines.
Right.
So
Becky asks, she says, have you ever considered offering plein air workshops? Is the climate too rainy? And she said Lorenzo Chavez would be a great plein air instructor.
It doesn't rain up here.
Anybody occasionally.
Nobody's from the Northwest and laugh about it. Well, no, we actually do, and some of the workshops that we have, they'll have a couple of plein air days attached to them. In the past, we usually have 2 specifically plein air workshops scheduled. We haven't really gotten back into that, but I shouldn't say most, a lot of these people are inclined to go outside and things too. So it depends on how long the workshop is. They might include a plein air day or 2.
I think, doesn't Steve Hill, doesn't he do some plein air when he does a workshop?
Yes. Yeah. He generally does our beginning classes. So he'll do one studio one early in the year, and then in sometime in the middle of the summer do a plein air one. This year we're actually adding a couple of January workshops, because we've been asked a lot about from people who want to get out of the house in January instead of in the nice months. So we've added in Steve Hill and Teresa Saya for January this year.
Oh,
and
good.
I don't know if the dates are up for them, but the listing of the workshops for this year is up on our site. It's not quite open for registering yet. We're trying to get that done here really soon, but you can see who's coming in, and it may have their dates as well.
And you had mentioned Mitch Albala earlier. He has a workshop scheduled with you in 24.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I just interviewed him last month. And that was a great interview. He's such a talented artist, and I think a wonderful teacher. And I remember it probably was in the mid 2000s when his first book came out. I was in your shop, and you said, "This is really a good book," and it really is a really good book.
He's such a colorist, and
yes,
and he does work both in oils and pastels, but he enjoys coming up here to really refresh his pastel skills when he comes here, because he concentrates on that. But he's very different from, and it definitely is, drilling down into color and
Yes. Beverly, that we're talking about Mitch Albala. He's an artist and instructor that lives in the Seattle area. Really wonderful stuff that he does. He's got a couple of books that are on Amazon, and both of them are well worth the money, and they're not too expensive.
Right.
I think Virginia said, she just said, I think this was in reference to pastels. It's like, beware, they're addictive. So
Yes, and
I,
don't fight it.
no,
Go with the flow.
It's a good addiction.
Yes, it is. And you can keep feeding it too.
Yes. Yeah, so somebody, Susie Crawford asked, how do you decide what to put on sale each month?
I just put my finger up into the wind and see what I'm the marketing guru as well as the purchasing person, and thanks to that marketing these days is emails as opposed to having to mail anything out. I generally will decide on the 30th day of November what's going on sale the first day of December.
Good. I like that.
So that is not good marketing 101. But
well, you know what? I bet it works.
We try to rotate the products. Availability actually has, over the last number of years has been a concern too, that we have to, there's some of the manufacturers have struggled a fair amount with, keeping up with demand and just making it through the mess. So it's mostly that we like to rotate them, and it somewhat depends on how we buy the product as well. Some manufacturers will provide extra discounts to promote products during a period. Most of them control the price of their products nowadays, sure. Which is good. So it's not very scientific, but it's it's Craig's history, and that's just the way it's always worked.
So Craig, I have always appreciated the catalogs that you've put out in recent years. Those are such a good resource for product information. Are you going to keep doing the catalog in hard copy, or will everything just be online?
Hey, look at this, Bonnie.
Oh, all right. Because I'll tell you,
we have a new catalog out that just got into our warehouse the 1st of November.
Great.
It's the first time we've done it since 2016, and we've had people asking forever, just mostly for the reasons that you said there. It's a great reference book. It's not so much the pricing in it and stuff, but we have the pastel softness chart in it that especially instructors find useful when we do the same thing for pastel pencils and something similar for paper. This catalog, I'll put it up here, advertisement again. We didn't mail it out this year, various reasons. So since the 1st of November, we've been just including them with anybody's order. And there's also a place online you can click a box and have one sent out as well.
I've in the past, when you still had the 16 version, I started giving those to my art students that I do workshops for, because I concentrate on beginner and intermediate pastelists, and it's a great tool. It's a great resource for them. And so, thanks for that.
Yeah. And that reminds me that if you request catalogs, Bonnie, you can request 20 of them if you want, or 50 of them. Or for I don't know if you're Pastel Society of the West Coast has any gatherings anymore, but we'll send, boxes full of catalogs down to there to hand out.
Great, great.
We just decided not to mail them out. Number one, because it's really expensive to do that. And there are people that would rather not get any more catalogs in the mail. So it's essentially it's outdated as soon as it comes out for pricing anyway. So, but anyway, and for the Tony Elaine fans, there's Tony Elaine on the cover.
Yep, great. Well, it's a great tool. It's a great tool for instructors, that's for sure. And it's so good for people to have, for artists to have.
Thank you. And like I said, please request if you'd like one or multiples. So
okay, that's great to know. So the pastel, somebody said the pastel chart on your website, Lauren remarked that it's extremely helpful, and yes, it is. She said she's discovered so many great brands from it.
It's on the inside front cover of the catalog. So Terry asked, will you return to carrying the 24 by 36 ampersand pastel board? Maybe. You just have to be asked about it. I didn't know we'd it was a pretty slow seller, and actually it's a little harder for us to get those. They don't come through the distribution channel like the other ones. And quite frankly, they're a pain to mail out. They're kind of big and heavy. So
they are.
If there's call for them, we'll put them back in. Matter of fact, I don't remember if we ever carried them, but maybe we did. I know at one time we did a special order program for the larger sizes of ampersand.
Susie Crawford asks if you would talk a little bit about the Blue Earth line, which I think is a really unique and very cool line of pastels.
Heck yeah, I'll talk about them.
All right.
Well, it's a great story how we ended up with them. Obviously, there's a lot of pastels out there, and we try to have everything that is. And there was this customer, Jim Pollard, at the time he was living in Michigan. And just over the years, I'd have interesting conversations with him, and he was buying this and buying that, or he had a bunch of these he wanted to sell back, and just over the years, and this is over probably 8 years, and he had purchased every full set of pastels that we had over that time, and then it got to a point where he said, "Well, Craig, I've got this new line of pastels I want to market," and he proclaimed himself the worst businessman for retailing in the world, and he just wanted to make them. And I said, "Well, that's perfect. I'm pretty good at selling them." So that was the first introduction to him. Then the second thing that made it appealing was their approach to the color line, which is unique to the pastel world. It's very much by hue and value. I don't know. I could. Most people are probably familiar with them, but the line is just so logical that I don't think the picture will show up very good here. No, I don't think this will. But it was for those two reasons that, just his approach, and he wanted me to sell him, and the fact that his approach to color was so different. It was much more from an oil painter's perspective, which he had spent most of his life being. And so it was much more into the value system. And when you see a full set of them in the kind of a wood box that we made specially for them. It's you know, your pastels get better immediately. So I don't know if that's enough discussion about it. It's been a great line for us, and it continues to grow. And a lot of people comment that they'd like to see.
So doesn't each color
have what?
Oh, I was just gonna say, isn't each color, there's 4 values to each color and in the box, and they come in boxes of red, orange, green, etc.
Each color family has 28 colors. There's a nice picture there of the full set. Thank you for showing that. So there's 28 colors in each color line, say cerulean blue. And the pure color is tinted out 7 steps with white. And then the next row is mixed with the complement of blue to gray it down a little bit. And then that row is tinted out with white. Third row is another step with more of the complement mix to gray it out more. Then the fourth line is the most grayed out neutral line. So it's like taking that one color and mixing it on your oil palette. Okay, then thanks for showing that full set of pastels. Looks like somebody just got them recently. Ah, all right, even better. Okay, I think we lost Bonnie. So there she's coming back. So I don't know what else about. So the Blue Earth has all the color families and sets, and there are just 2 different mix sets: a Nomad and a Drifter, which are 28 and 56 piece sets, and then 1 dark set, which are new colors added on that took an extra dark step or 2 steps for each of the color families. So it is our best seller, and I assume it'll stay that way for quite a while.
I've found those sets really helpful, especially, going into different areas, maybe where I'm not familiar with what the colors are and in nature, and then to have, those orange sets and.
Well, even as those newer mix sets, the Drifter and the Nomad, they're inserted in the boxes that they come in by value, so that helps right there.
Right.
Just any of the manufacturers set that are done that way, which is a unique method. Most of them are done by the manufacturer has they put them in by their color numbers or some reason like that. So I can tell you from experience, and a good illustration is Terry Ludwig's sets, who once again, he makes wonderful sets and has a wide array of artist oriented sets and color range ones as well. But I believe it's the Maggie Price, Maggie Price grays. Well, there's a color value set that he has. And if you open that box and put it next to any other sets that he has, a landscape or plein air or anything else, people always go to the ones that is set up by value. It just looks more appealing.
Yeah, the Nomad set that's a great set, and I also love their darks.
I had to convince him to do darks. He didn't think that was really necessary, but after 6 years of discussion, we got dark sets, and it's when when I started in this business, nobody did light sets or dark sets or blues. Every one of the manufacturers had assorted landscape, portrait of different sizes, and that was really it. And one of the first things we started doing was we got our own boxes made, and we made, I think it was in the Sennelier line, we made a light set and a dark set and all these different things, and they sold like hotcakes. So then it didn't take long, and then before the manufacturers started doing that, Sennelier came out with theme sets like that. And that's most of those companies do that today.
Yeah, that somebody, I think it's Terry that commented that the Nomad set is great for plein air, and I agree. It's a wonderful. It really is a wonderful setup. If that's all you had, you could do a great painting. So yeah, those are great, and they're such soft, buttery pastels.
Yes, and another unique thing about the Blue Earth line is that inserted in the boxes vertically, so you can get a lot more in a smaller space. They're that full set that one gal held up there to show it is 24 inches long by about 13 inches wide. And it has 336 colors in it.
Wow. Becky commented, and I think this is great, that she appreciated that April had the historical record of what was in the Albert Handel Unison set, which neither Unison or Handel sell anymore. She said that April put it together for her in an extra Handel set for me at a good price, and she got them quickly. So that's customer service that I think that everybody appreciates from Dakota.
I tell you, in my file cabinet, I have just about everything Pastel historic, and I've got a box of the Grumbacher pastels still sitting on my shelf, which haven't been around for a good 20 years. But yes, whenever April comes in and asking, do you know what was in the Handel set? We generally have it somewhere, even if we don't have the set itself.
Yeah, Lauren said that she loves the Sennelier dark set and the Unison dark jewel set. And Becky said that she wishes that you could sell the Ludwig eggplant in single sticks individually.
It is a popular color, and
yes, it is.
That if you haven't run into it yet, I'll put a little plug for Schminke. Asked us if there's anything special they could do for us, because they're their biggest pastel seller in the world. And well, long story short, they made us a Dakota version of the eggplant, which is now it's called the Schminke Dakota Violet, and I believe it's 58B. So next time you order, try that one out.
All right. And it's Dakota. What was it? Dakota.
Dakota. It's Schminke. It's a Schminke color now made just for us. That's the Dakota Violet.
Oh, okay.
And I'm pretty sure that the number is 58B.
Great, good information.
It might be 58D.
Close enough. You got the name.
But it was really nice of them to offer to do that, and with a big color company like that, when you order a single color like that, or any color that they make 1,000 at a time. So it better be a good special color if you're going to have them make it.
So Craig, can you get the new pastels? I always think of like the neutral colors, individual anymore?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Prismacolor decided that it wasn't economically viable to keep selling, producing and selling the individual sticks.
And so,
Which is weird, for every pastelist in the country uses new pastels in some form or another, or some colors. And that's Prismacolor is owned by the Newell Company, which also owns Rubbermaid. So when you get into a company like that and they start looking at numbers, and they look at one stick of new pastel, and they're going, why are we doing this? So it went away. Believe me, we pursued it to no end, trying to get that changed. And seems like about 2 months ago, there was a rumor going around that, this new pastel is coming back. And so I went up the chain and checked again, and no, they're not coming back.
it's a small part of a big business.
It's a way small part.
Yeah.
To keep continuing to make the sets, but the 6 most popular colors are only available in the 96-piece set. So
Yeah.
I even tried getting them to do just 12 best colors set. That didn't fly either. So
Well, good for you for trying.
well, I've been working with other companies to try to get somebody else to make a hard pastel line, because we're down to essentially we're just down to Cretacolor.
I think Richardson just they've now started a harder there's sticks that are similar to the new pastels. And
well, their previous line, they have a new hand rolled line that's been out for a couple of years. It's really nice. Before that, they had some other ones made in China. They had a hard, a soft, and a medium. And the one you're talking about is part of that line.
Oh, is it?
It was never very good. Well, I shouldn't say that out loud. It wasn't very popular, and I think they still have it, but they also have gotten out of the individual colors, at least producing anymore. So if you can still find them and you like them, you can get those. But
Good. Oh, by the way, if you want to sell your Grumbacher, you got a buyer. Becky says, "Wow, I'll buy the Grumbacher."
Another short story on that. There's actually one color missing. It was Daniel Green's favorite color, and he finally found me, and I had one of those, and he said, well, can I buy just that one raw umber color from you? So I sold it to him. So it's missing one color.
Oh, oh well. So
another interesting thing about the Grumbacher line, the people that missed it the most when it was gone was the pottery world. Potters, it was one of those things that a lot of them had learned to use those to make color marks on pottery and things. And what they learned from, and the only one available around the country, was Grumbacher. And we got more calls from potters missing their colors than anybody.
Wow. So Terry asks, what is the grit of UArt that is most comparable to Wallace paper?
400.
Okay. And isn't that what Lux Archival is also, is about a 400?
Yes. Yeah, Lux Archival is probably the closest thing to what Wallace was.
That's a nice paper.
It is very nice. It's of course a little on the expensive side, but it's a good paper. We sell an awful lot of UArt though.
Well, that's a good paper too.
Yes.
So Juliet asks, are you able to get the Unison Frosty Winter Day 16.5 set?
No. That we've had a couple inquiries about that because they've been advertising it, but that's just going to be sold through them.
Oh,
okay. It's a limited edition product. So I asked about it and they said no.
And Becky, she said the Rembrandts are a good hard pastel, but they're bigger and round, and I don't mind my Cretacolor set of hards. Better packaging than new pastels. So that's good information.
Yeah, there, more people are catching on to the Cretacolor. Well, it's because it's the only one left. Like I said, I've been working on other manufacturers to see if I can get somebody else to make a hard stick. Just kind of combining several of the things that have been out there that I think would be a good product, but it's manufacturing of them is different. It's actually harder to do than the hand rolled pastels or most of the fine lines. Just the way that it's made and the quantity you have to make them in to make it worthwhile, etc. So
sure. Theodore Bush says he loves your Lux 4 ply boards.
Yes, we sell almost as much paper mounted on boards as we do just paper. That's how popular it is, our mounted boards.
Well, it's so handy to have the boards especially if you're out doing plein air work. You don't have to carry along something else that you have to tape a paper to, and you can just pop it in a frame and be done with it.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing to have the mounted papers on the boards.
As a business, it's always nice to have things that are unique to you, that are good and keep people coming back.
Yep, absolutely. So IAPS is next year, and Craig, I know you'll be there, right?
Well, how do you know that?
I'm just guessing.
Yes. Well, at least we're signed up unless some world catastrophe shows up again. Yeah, the last one, we were scheduled to be there, but just some things got in the way of coming. So we're once again hoping to be there.
Well, that's great. You could probably almost do your own IAPS up in your spot. You've got the workshop space and you've got all the lines of pastels.
That's why it's a little odd for us to go to IAPS, because that's the show floor is kind of like our warehouse.
Yep.
Except we have more.
That's great.
We have all the individuals here, which is hard to take to a NAMTA not NAMTA, IAPS. And really down there, we can only take products that are unique to Dakota pastels. So we take our boxes in the Blue Earth pastels and things. There's obviously no reason to go down there with some Rembrandt or Schminke. And I shouldn't say that. We probably will have Schminke since they don't go. But we don't take products that other vendors on the floor have.
Well, Schminke, you've got your Dakota Violet. That should be a
right. And we'll have some Schminke product in our booth this time. Probably more than just the Dakota Violet, but we will have that. We'll have boxes full of that.
So let's see, Terry says the mounting service is great. She says, I end up having to mount the smaller sheets of my old Wallace paper and Sennelier because of the curling when plein air painting. That's a great point,
Who's got antique Wallace paper out there yet?
Terry does. And then Becky says, if you could get the Unison numbers for the Frosty Winter Day set, would Dakota have the individual sticks?
What's it called? A sparkly or something?
It's called the Frosty Winter's Day.
Okay, the frosty colors are not part of their line. That was kind of a one-off thing that they did just for that set, and that's really why they're not selling the set through us, over here.
Oh, okay.
If it was a set that had all their standard colors in it, we would have it, of course. But that's one that and I'm not exactly sure what colors they were, but they made them specifically as a promotional thing for that set.
Okay. So Craig, aside from your store business, I know you also do some judging of art shows and pastel shows. How do you like that? You enjoy that?
Not so much.
It's I just got through judging.
I like art too much, and coming from my end of the business, especially if it's a pastel show, I find myself looking to see what was used in it more than what the final.
There you go.
I'm kind of dissecting what's on what's on it, but it's I do a few local ones, but that's about it. And actually we didn't really talk about the competition that we run at
right.
Dakota Pastels also, which has been very it's one of the more happier things that I came up with, and the part I like the best is the emerging part of the competition, which we get a lot more entries in that half of it than on the established side. So it's been a really fulfilling thing, and like doing that. So everybody should check into that.
That's a good opportunity. I think it's good to see your work stacked up against other artists' work, and you learn from that. Even if you're not an award winner, it's good to see where just what other people are doing. And
yeah, that's where the emerging part is nice, because people it stays on the website, and people can go look at it, and it's not always the same people that end up winning the awards, which tends to be on the established sides, or a lot of the shows. There's a lot of really good artists out there, and yes, like you said, it's nice to have some place where you can get it up on the board.
And it's nice to have the online shows. I think are great. And of course they always get a lot of entries because you don't have to ship your work. I think that's a big deal.
Right.
Because shipping is expensive. So Laura says, greatly appreciate how carefully everything from Dakota Pastels is packed for shipping. Thank you. And I'll second that. Everything is always well packed.
We have weird stuff that we sell, and that's really one of the reasons that drew me to it. But when that's all that you do, then you can gear your whole business towards that. So it's we have a young man named Amato that packs 90% of the boxes going out of there, and I tell you what, the guy's a magician. It's everything to him. Everything is well, and then you got a small pack or pastels in a big box with a big old pieces of paper, and you got to get them both there in the same shape. So packaging is a challenge for this business, but we're pretty proud of it, and the little damage that gets out there is a test to the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Craig, if you were to look back on what you've done, is there anything that you would do differently, do you think?
No, I tell you what, Bonnie, as I look out of my window at Puget Sound here, looking at the mussel rafts outside of Coupeville, I'm in a pretty good spot. I've got a pretty nice business that I don't know if I should say this. I only go in a couple of days a week now, and in my gray years. You got people like April and Lance and the motto that take care of things. It's life's pretty good.
Well, I'm glad for you. And, you know, you just offer a great service. And, you know, for people that specialize in pastels, you're just, you know, number one. Owen says it's a privilege to shop at Dakota in person. He says, I use Pastel Mat, Unison, and Giro a lot, and it was great to be able to shop to my heart's content. Thank you for all your store offers, both online and in person. I was also honored to be recognized in one of your online competitions. Such a treat. And Terry says a huge continuing thank you for your knowledge and products. It's her lifeline. So I think with that, we're coming close to 2 o'clock. And Craig, I appreciate you so much for taking the time to spend chatting with me about Dakota Art and all you guys have to offer. You know, just thanks so much. And, you know, wishing everybody a happy holiday season. And go out there and paint with those beautiful pastels.
Well, thanks, Bonnie. This is less painful than I thought it would be. I'm not used to doing it, but as you can tell, I don't mind talking. So
that's good.
I appreciate absolutely all of you out there. You're what keeps the lights on at our place, and you know, I appreciate that as well.
All right. Well, everybody have a great holiday, and take care and paint on.
All right. Very good.
Thank you so much, Craig.
All right.
Thanks, Craig.